If you're thinking about moving to Bozeman, Montana, you've probably already watched the drone footage. The bridges at sunrise, Main Street all lit up, somebody fly fishing at golden hour. This is the other video. This is the one where a local tells you what it actually costs, what the winters actually do to you, and real talk, who falls in love with this town and who quietly moves back after 2 years. Oh, and I'll explain the shovel you need. Stay with me. I'm Amelia Turbyfill. I sell real estate here in Bozeman and Big Sky, Montana with a real broker, and a huge part of my job is helping people relocate here, which means I spend a lot of time answering the same questions over and over, texts at 10 p.m., calls all day long, so I'm putting it all in one place. The money it takes to live here, what winters are really like when it's 20 below, the growth, the neighborhoods, the jobs, and the stuff nobody puts in a visitor's guide. By the end of this video, you'll know whether Bozeman is actually your town or whether you're just into the Instagram version of it. Okay, so we're doing the uncomfortable part first. Because if the numbers don't work, nothing else in this video even matters. Bozeman is the most expensive market in Montana. That's just facts. Depending on the month and what you're considering, the median family home here runs in the lower 700s to mid 800s. And in June, we actually even jumped up to the $1 million median price mark in Bozeman. Condos and townhomes pull the overall median down into the 500s, which is why you'll see different numbers depending on which headline you read and what segment of the market you're interested in. So now here's where the headlines miss, and where having a local actually helps. The market in Bozeman has cooled. We've got more inventory than we've seen in years. Homes are sitting on the market longer, and buyers have actual negotiating power we haven't had since before the pandemic. Prices came down off the 2023 peak, which means real opportunity. So if you looked at Bozeman 2 or 3 years ago and totally wrote it off, it's worth another look now. I'm not saying it's cheap, but the prices are more negotiable than they have been. And that's a real advantage. And there's a difference. If you're planning on renting first, which I think can be a really smart move, by the way, plan on a 1-bedroom typically running somewhere between $1,700 and $2,200 a month. And average rent overall sits right around $2,000. Okay, so here's 2 more money things that people don't expect. Number 1, Montana has no state sales tax. 0. The sticker price is the price. It's a small daily joy that never gets old. And number 2, property taxes. Over the past few years, and there's a real line item that you need to consider in your budget. So when you're running numbers on a specific house, ask me for the actual tax bill. Don't just go off the Zillow estimate. And things are changing again. There's now a homestead tax exemption for primary homeowners. The bottom line, 2 bedrooms, a garage, and mountain views, it exists, but the money conversation has to happen before the mountain conversation. That's the order, and that's what I'm here for. Okay, let's talk about the shovel. Winter in Bozeman is not a season, it's a lifestyle you just have to embrace. I typically feel like there's always snow on the ground by Thanksgiving, and it doesn't fully move out until sometime around Mother's Day. So we measure snow in feet, not in inches, and yes, it has snowed in June. In fact, this year, and more than once. Here's what nobody tells you though. It's a sunny cold. It isn't the gray, wet, soul-crushing winter of the Midwest or Pacific Northwest. Most winter days here are blue skies, dry air, and a mountain range all around you that looks like a painting. 10 degrees and sunny beats 35 and gray. I will die on this hill. The people who thrive here flip the equation, okay? Winter isn't just the thing you try to survive and get through. It's the thing you moved here for. You have to embrace it. Bridger Bowl is only about 15 minutes from town, and Big Sky's about an hour. So if you're a downhill skier like me, you will be in paradise. Cross-country ski trails, ice climbing at highlight, hit the hot springs after a cold day outside, even snowmobiling. There is a saying here that Montanans don't own one pair of skis, they own four. And that's not a joke, it's just our packing list. So make sure your vehicle can fit in all your gear all year round. Now, here's the people who struggle. They're the ones who thought they'd get into skiing eventually and spent November through April watching the driveway fill up with snow, but never actually got out there. So be honest with yourself. If winter is a problem you're worried about managing instead of a season you thrive in, that matters more than any home price I can give you. So, the actual shovel. I keep mine by the door about 7 months out of the year, and I wouldn't trade it for anything except a snowblower I just upgraded to this year, because the same storm I'm shoveling out in the morning is the reason Bridger Bowl is untouched powder at 9 a.m. and I will take that any day. Around here, the shovel and the views are a package deal. Okay, you cannot make a video about moving to Bozeman, Montana without addressing the elephant in the valley: growth. The city's population has roughly doubled since 2010. We were once the fastest growing small city in America, and yeah, you can feel it. New neighbors where hayfields used to be, and yes, sometimes we have traffic on 19th at 5 p.m. I know locals from bigger cities laugh at what we call traffic, but we don't laugh. You'll hear people say Bozeman has changed, that it's not the small town it once was. And yeah, they're right, it isn't. But here's my honest take as someone whose job is talking to the people moving here. The growth also brought direct flights, better restaurants, a real healthcare system, and jobs that don't require leaving Montana. Most places would trade their problems for ours any day of the week. And I find people move here because they actually want to be here. They love Bozeman, they love our community, and they don't want to change it. They want to add to it. But you should move here with clear eyes. You're not moving to a secret, you're moving to a place everybody else is starting to find out about, and the town is still figuring out what that means. So if you show up humble, learn the local rhythms, and let somebody merge in front of you on Main Street, you'll be fine. The fastest way to stay an outsider here is to spend your first year explaining how they did it back at home. Keep Bozeman, Bozeman. Okay, so now to the neighborhoods. This is the number one thing people get wrong because the internet talks about Bozeman like it's one place, but it's actually at least 5 separate areas. Let's dive in. Okay, first let's talk about downtown and the northeast side. Walkable, historic, homes filled with tons of charm and character. Condos and the highest sales price per square foot in town is in this area. You're paying for the ability to walk to dinner on Main Street, and for some people that's worth every penny and non-negotiable. You know who you are. On the south side, Montana State University anchors this whole part of town. So you'll find more established neighborhoods, mature trees, and the Bobcats game day energy in the fall, which is so fun. It's closer to Highlight Canyon too, which a lot of locals will tell you is basically Bozeman's backyard. Next, the Westside and Four Corners. This is where most of the new construction lives. This is where the town is growing. So you'll find more square footage for the money, typically newer builds, but still a mix of single family condos and townhomes. Four Corners also keeps growing because it sits at a crossroads. It's Four Corners. Bozeman one way, Big Sky the other, and just down Jackrabbit you can head to Belgrade. Now let's talk about Belgrade. It's just 10 minutes further out from Bozeman and only about 5 minutes from the airport. It's meaningfully more affordable too. Belgrade used to be the punchline and the second choice, but now it's really a smart value play I talk about with a lot of my buyers. It has its own main street that's super cute, its own brewery, great restaurants, and a lot of people are getting more house for less money, are looking at Belgrade. Okay, so now let's go to Livingston. Livingston is about 25 miles over Bozeman Pass. It has its own artsy railroad town personality with great restaurants and bars. It's also more affordable. Two things to know. The wind is not a rumor, and the pass in January is a commute you need to respect. Sometimes it totally shuts down when it snows, and you need to be prepared. The whole valley, Bozeman, Belgrade, Four Corners, Gallatin Gateway, functions as one connected corridor now. So the real question isn't, should I move to Bozeman? Because you should, it's awesome. It's which version of the valley fits my budget and my life. That's a longer conversation, and that's exactly the one I'm here for. Okay, so you've decided you want to move to Bozeman. What are you going to do for work? That's the second most common question I get. How do people actually make money and live life here? Bozeman's economy is more real than people give it credit for. Montana State University is totally the anchor, and Bozeman Health is a major employer. Outdoor industry companies, construction, and everything that comes with a growing town. And obviously, a lot of people moving to Bozeman are bringing their jobs with them. Remote work here built half the new driveways in this valley, I swear. The unsung hero of this whole thing is our airport. BZN, Bozeman Airport, is Montana's busiest airport with nonstop flights to over 25 US cities. And that's really the difference between moving to the mountains and disappearing into the mountains. We are so connected. You can be in a major hub in a couple of hours and fly all across the country really easily out of Bozeman. And for perspective on where you're standing, Yellowstone's entrance is only about 90 minutes away. The airport has Yellowstone in its name. All of it is in the neighborhood. Okay, so I'm going to level with you and save you 8 months of stress. Bozeman is probably not your town if you need big city energy. The nightlife here is a good bar, a show at the Rialto, and being in bed by 11. Because you're skiing at 8. That's how we do it. If your budget only works when everything goes perfectly, or if winter is something you endure instead of something you embrace, don't come to Bozeman. It's not for you. But Bozeman is totally your town if your ideal Tuesday ends on a trail, if you trade square footage for mountains out the window, and where you're actually going to run into people you know at the farmer's market, but big enough to have a great airport, a university, and a real hospital. That's the honest math on moving to Bozeman, Montana. It's not for everyone, and that's kind of the point. So if you're trying to figure out which version of this valley fits your life, that's literally my job. Reach out, my info is below, and I'll keep you covered with all my insider information and real estate tips.